drag strip for 2021. We're about a month behind. Normally, Beach Bend opens up the season in March, but the weather has been real janky. We've had a lot of rain, so they've rained out a couple of weekends. So this is the first time we're getting to go. Traffic is insane. I don't know what's going on. People have been just cooped up because of the pandemic and everything, and things are starting to relax a little bit, thank goodness. And traffic's crazy. So we're trying to get up to Beach Bend, get our first track day in. Today, you guys have been following the channel for a while, know I always have a plan. Today is 100% about the 60 foot. So that's really what I'm going to focus on. The car's making plenty of power for what I wanted to do. It traps around 140 in the quarter mile. I've run 9/8 several times in varying weather conditions. The goal has always been 10.0 in any weather because that's the class that I tend to run in. That's the one you can run in where you don't have to have a cage and all that. Below 10.0 they start questioning a lot more of the safety items in the cars. So 10.0 has kind of been it for me, and it's a fun class to get in. It's competitive. However, I like to be able to turn it up a little bit and run in the 9s if I want to. And the one thing I know I have not been maximizing is the 60 foot. Everything else is pretty good. The power, the speed, the trap speed, everything else feels pretty good. I feel like the tune is right. I've just got to get that 60 foot dialed in. So today we're going to be testing that All Angles Design drag pack suspension for the first time. Wish us luck. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of details. Let's just get to it. All right, first run of the season. I got to get the jitters out of the way. I'm always a little bit anxious my first run. Trying to remember everything from my process. I got to set the car up. I got to remember to check my line lock, which I've done. I got to turn on my data log. Woo! Here we go.
I think we just drive shafted somebody. That's a little Henry J out there. It might be a little angry. It's a geezer guy for sure.
Spun. Spun. Got to lower the tire pressure a little bit or do a longer burnout. I thought the track would be better. How we did. Everything else felt good. Save our data log. I hate that. I hate spinning. Thank you. We had a 1.7 60 foot.
Like that little rope, that little duster there. That might be a little.
Mile per hour is great. We ran 111 in the 8th and 139.6 at the quarter, but we only ran a 10.6. I'm sorry, 10.36 because it spun off the line. That 1.7 60 foot just ain't going to cut it. We got suspension work now. Got to get that sorted out. Maybe I went to the floor too fast with the throttle, but we'll try again.
I got to remember not to just mash it off the line. I'm gonna try to ease into it just a little bit better. There we go. That was more like it. I had to roll into it off the line. We'll see how it went. That felt pretty good. That felt like a good pass. Thank you. Well, that's better. I think we're gonna have to get after it a little bit harder. So we had a 156 60 foot. I can do better than that. 112.8 to the 8th on the mile an hour. 645, a 992 at 140.5 mile an hour. So I've still got to chop away at that 60 foot some. That was a 156. I'm looking for 1.4s. So I'm gonna try to launch a little bit harder next time. We lowered the tire pressure 2 psi. That seemed to help. Try one more time. Here we go, last one of the day. That was a good run. Woo-hoo-hoo. Whoa, we almost went off the end. That was a good pass. That was really good. The car rocked back. No drama. Thank you. Well, we had a 152 60 foot, so I think I still could launch a little bit harder. 113 to the 8th mile per hour at 639, and it was a 986 at 140.85 mile an hour. So the car's making some steam. I just got to keep working that 60 foot. But that's 2 low 1.5s in a row with me figuring out the new suspension and the track. I'm happy. We're gonna pack it up. Come on, Red Eye. Well, pretty successful day. It took us a minute to figure out the track. When we first got here, it had been really cold overnight, unusually cold for this time of year, and I think they had a low in the mid to upper 20s. And I got a little too aggressive with the throttle on that first pass, and the track hadn't quite come around yet, so it spun. The next 2 passes, number 2, I took it pretty easy on the launch, and I actually looked at my data log and I didn't go wide open throttle until about 2800 RPM, and then I gave it the beans, and it hooked up and felt really, really good. I think I could have given it more actually on that one. The third one, I got after it pretty good. I didn't romp on it, but I rolled into it very, very quickly, and I had a 1.52 60 foot, a 1.523. The other one, pass number 2, was a 1.56 60 foot. So I think, or I'm confident, that AAD suspension is helping. I'm seeing the consistency come in. What I needed to do, I probably needed 2 more passes to really figure out the track, 1 more to really try to get after it, but test and tune's over for the day. So we've packed up, we're headed back to headquarters here in Bowling Green, which of course is Smoky Bones, to have some dinner, and then we're gonna get back to Middle Tennessee. I'm back at the shop, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I like to do the kind of the time slip review the following day. I get in pretty late coming back from Bowling Green, and the traffic was atrocious. I don't know if it's because it was a holiday weekend or what, but traffic was really, really crazy. So we actually got in late last night, and I was ready to just jump in the shower and crash. That's what I did. Now I know you're waiting for me to give you my impressions on that AAD suspension. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, and I'll tell you why. The car felt super, super stable. The only time I had problems with spinning was that very first pass. And thinking about it on the drive home, I've mentioned this before, Beach Bend is a little bit weird of a track. It's close to a river, and you get some moisture and temperature changes and all of that go along with being close to that river. So that first pass of the day, it's almost like a double-edged sword. That's when you're gonna get the really good air. DA, we never get great DA around here. By the time we get to race, unless it's in February or November, it's always gonna be, the best usually is around 1,000. Most of the time when we're at the track, it's 2,000 or more. Some of you guys that live out, out west in the higher elevations, that sounds good to you, but for folks around here, they're at sea level, I want it to be 0 or even negative maybe if I'm gonna have a really, really good DA day. But 1,000, I checked it throughout the day, and it was between 1,000 and 1,500. Obviously as the day went on, it got a little bit higher. So the first pass, it was around 1,000. Second pass, it was like 1,200. Third pass, it was a little over 1,500 according to the drag race app I have on my phone. And it's pretty accurate. It hits a local weather station to figure all that out. First pass spun, I think the track was cold. I got a little too aggressive. That's when the air was really good. And I get a little frustrated when the car spins. It was super crowded at the track yesterday. And so I waited in the staging lanes for probably maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And then to get up there and to have it spin right off the bat, I've just wasted all that time. So I get a little frustrated, and I was getting a little worried the track just wasn't gonna be there. However, it warmed up later in the day, and the sun got out there and got on the track, had some cars going down it. My second pass, so the first pass had a 1.73 60 foot, which is terrible. It spun and I had to get off the throttle. Second pass, I looked at the data log. I launched just off idle, and I rolled into the gas very slowly. I rolled into the throttle very slowly, and I didn't hit wide open throttle until the car was already about 2,800 RPM. I had a 1.56 60 foot. What I will say is the car felt super stable, like it was on rails. So that's one of the benefits of that suspension. And the 60 foot was starting to come down. I knew I was going in the right direction. I go up to make my third pass, and unfortunately it had to be the last one of the day. The test and tune cut off at 5 o'clock. It was 4:51, as you can see on the time slip, so I barely made it in at the last minute there. Red lit big time, and it's because I got after it a lot quicker. A negative 0.109, so I was kind of aggravated with that. The 60 foot went down to a 1.52. And I went back and looked at the data log. I launched at 1,200 RPM. So I brought the RPMs up to 1,200, let off the brake, and rolled into the throttle when the light dropped, or when I thought the light dropped. I ran a 986 at 140.85. So I'm going the right direction. Had I been able to bring those RPMs up a little bit more, the track had come around towards the end of the day. So if I had probably gotten one more pass, I will bet you I would have had a 1.4 something 60 foot, because now I've gained my confidence back that I'm not gonna blow a run. Again, you get up there and you sit in the staging lanes for an hour, the last thing you want to do is ruin the run by spinning, and it was way too crowded for me to take a chance. So I was really being tentative about easing into it. Lowered the tire pressure just a little bit, and then I started bringing the RPMs up like 200 at a time. If I had gotten one more pass, I probably would have tried to launch around 1,500 and see how that did. If that hooked, I'd have gone up again, maybe 1,700, 1,750. And that's usually where I will get my best 60 foot, if I can get those RPMs up and get that converter locked in, ready to go. So AAD suspension gets a thumbs up. The good news is we've got what they're calling a hot shot test and tune, weather permitting, 2 weeks from now. And it's basically a private event. Costs a little bit more It's like 75 bucks, which to me is worth it. They're gonna limit it to 50 cars, and we're gonna get to run from 9 until like 9 at night. So 9 in the morning until 4 p.m. is just the 50 cars. They're gonna limit it. After 4 p.m., it's gonna be their normal program, test and tune, like the regulars can come in. During the hot shot test and tune that's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., they're going to limit the cars to race tires only, either a drag radial or a slick. They're gonna prep the track, do all the good stuff. So that's when I'm gonna go back and really see what we can do on the 60 foot. Beach Bend completely repaved the, about half the track 2 years ago. And I went back and looked at a whole bunch of time slips. You guys know that I always keep these. So I've got about a stack that thick from the Hellcat. And I went back and looked at time slips. The best 60 foot I have ever gotten in the car was a 1.464. And that particular Saturday, I had like a 147, a 146, and a 1465 and a 1464. So very, very close together, very consistent 60 foots. And that was the first opening day they had with that new concrete. They had prepped it very, very well. They had great big tire race cars running and laying down a lot of rubber. They were trying to get that surface ready. So that's the best it's ever been at Beach Bend. That's only happened one time at that track that I've ever had that good of a 60 foot. Next to those three, which I'm gonna consider an anomaly because that has never happened before, never happened since, the best 60 foot I ever got was a 1.498. So as you can see, just babying into it, I had a 1.52. So we're right there. We're hundredths of a second from cracking down into those best 60 foots that I would consider ever getting. The car averages a 1.52 60 foot. If I went back and looked at all of my time slips, it's on the Nicky Thompson ET Street R tires. It's around a 1.52 is the average. Sometimes 1.51, occasionally a 1.50. Outlier was the 1.49s that I've gotten just a couple of times. So that AAD suspension I think is going to work really, really good for the car. Definitely help with the stability going down the track at high speed. I don't know if it had anything to do with this or not, the alignment being right, but what I will say is the car has picked up a little over 2 mile an hour in the 8th. So I was running 111 to 113 mile an hour in the 8th mile. And in the quarter mile, I was running between 139.6 and 140.8. So I picked up about 3 mile an hour in the quarter. I don't know if that's from that suspension being straight, you know, getting everything straight and the tires not resisting each other, but normally I would run about 110 in the 8th and about 136, 137 in the quarter at Beach Bend. So, probably is helping that mile an hour too. So it gets a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check back in a couple of weeks when we go back to the track on that test and tune day where they're gonna actually prep and do the good stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedy's_garage, as well as our website, www.speedysgarage.net. Hopefully, I'll see you out there.